Okay, we are. Audio is on, and then I am switching to the two-person view. Hello, everyone. Do you hear us? Are we alive? If you can hear us, jump up and down, or clap your hands.
Clap your hands. I want you to clap your hands as loud as you can.
Cool. Well, looks like we're not dead. So everyone, welcome so much. Welcome so much. What is that? What am I talking about? Welcome to tonight's episode of Top Clack, where we'll be talking about a few 60%s, a few things happening on the interwebs, and later we'll be joined by our guest Kingnestea for our interview portion at the second half of the show. But first, we'll start off with the news. But before the news, intro. Yeah. Now let's go to the news viewer, which is just on. There we go. Here's the news viewer.
Yeah, a couple things to note though. Obviously, we don't have the guest on yet. We're still sticking with our what we're calling the new format, where we go through the news just Huey and I, so we can get it a little bit more focused and we don't ramble quite as much. And we will bring on our guest Kingnestea after that, and then we will do a little interview segment with him. Then he will still be here for the Q&A and such. So remember, if you got questions, keep them for later. Yes, there we go.
Yes.
People are already noticing your fancy shirt.
I know. I had to wake up really early for work today, and I had to talk to like fancy people. Normally I work in an office. I just wear a normal polo. But today I actually had to talk to like official people who determine the fate of a project I was working on. So I had to get the whole get up at like 6 a.m. so I can get downtown by 8 a.m. Yeah. But that's the life we live.
Yep, you're a professional.
Yeah.
I'm over here wearing either no pants or sweatpants, and I got my 99 Problems But a Switch Ain't One t-shirt on.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
clearly I'm living the dream over here.
Well,
all right.
A lot of people have dreams, including dreams of being a knight. Let's start off with this interest check for GMK White Knight, which looks like a interesting gold on white and gold on purple sets.
Yeah.
Colorway. Initial thoughts.
The first thing I saw when I looked at this thread, I was like, "It's not for me." And then I saw who posted it, and I was like, "Oh, it's Shinzo." And then I felt bad for disliking it because Shinzo's so cool.
He's a really cool guy.
But I think I need a GMK render for this, like an official GMK render, maybe some Thesis Camper renders, because I feel like this render isn't really quite doing it for me.
Come on, KB renders, get your game on.
Yeah, I'm using GMK right now. I'm very familiar with GMK. I don't like how they have the GMK mods with like tiny lettering at the top left instead of where GMK text usually is.
When I first saw the set, I think my first thought was the video game Saints Row the Third, which is a fun video game. That's what I was thinking of when I first saw this. I'm like,
okay,
not enough purple for that, but it's on the right start for that. Yeah, you're right. You need that GMK render so you get that thick, chunky GMK font that we're used to loving.
Yeah, as with most ICs, it's too early to tell. It's too early to tell.
So he has said, contrast has been brought up as an issue. They're going to try to make the gold dark enough to stand out from the off-white base color. So the white is going to be an off-white, not necessarily a super, I don't know what the word is, super clean, bright white. So we'll see how it turns out. Shinzo's a cool guy. I really wish this the best in its renders moving forward, but we don't have really information for final colors or even compatibility, etc. That's really it that caught my eye for the keycap news. But more excitingly, keyboard news. I don't know why this cut off. But over at KBD Fans, they have the DZ60 Revision 2.0 C% mechanical keyboard PCB. The unique part is with the option for Type-C USB. I know a lot of people in our Discord and people that we know have always been raving to us about how USB Type-C is the future. We talk about it a lot in our show, but is USB-C the future?
I don't know. Some interesting notes here is that you can get the mini USB, but not the Type-C version, for $35, and the Type-C version is $40, so $5 more for the Type-C. Another interesting thing is it comes with cherry stabilizers included in that price. I'm going to assume they're not genuine cherry, but at the very least, you get stabilizers included for that price.
I do believe they are genuine cherry, actually.
Really?
I believe so.
I was scrolling through and I couldn't really find anything to say if they were or not, so I just assumed they were not. Because usually if they are genuine, people want to make note of it, because that's
Very
what people in
true.
the community say, like, you know, that's like the best value.
Pretty good options for switches. The prices aren't too bad either. Does it tell you how many switches you get? It does not, because there's a plethora of layouts you can do which require a different amount of switches. So it's kind of odd. They don't really tell you how many switches you're going to be getting. But switches are an option.
Yeah, it's probably just enough for the build plus one or something like that. Like enough for a standard 60 plus one. That's what they often do. Interesting that they actually have some of the kale varieties for the Switch options. So that's cool.
Yeah, the Pro purple, red, and greens.
Even though those are not the correct terms for them. The Pro red is actually burgundy, and the Pro green is, I think they call it the light green.
Maybe there isn't a Chinese translation. I mean, there is not a Chinese translation for Cherry MX Clear.
It's like Milk Axis something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Milk.
Yeah, pretty sure it's called Milk. Anyways, this is a QMK powered PCB. Excuse me. So, you know, all you super elite hackers can be all over that and not whine.
Hey, but there's also a web programmer for idiots like us.
Oh yes, please. Yes. Pander to the idiots always, please, like me.
Lost Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it looks like it supports all those silly layouts.
Wait, it does have RGBs.
Yeah. RSGs and the Bs. So pretty good price.
Not bad price, honestly. I mean, and then you get that one of their in stock 5-degree cases or an in stock Tina case, and you got a whole board.
Are they in stock now? 5 degrees?
Yeah.
Oh, I still haven't gotten mine from the group buy, so I think mine just cleared customs like yesterday or something. Nice-oo
pantsu. But yeah,
pantsu.
I think this PCB is going to definitely be very popular among a lot of the QMK forward-thinking enthusiasts in the community, because it's great price, has a lot of full of features and full of layout options. Because I know, unfortunately, for whatever reason, 2U left shifts have been taking off in popularity for no good reason. But they have been, and they are supporting it as it is what some people in the community, arguably the wrong part of the community, man, I'm just hating so much today.
Top Clack does not endorse 2U shift.
Yeah.
But yeah, QMK RGB Underglow comes with stabilizers for $35. That's pretty good. It's shipping free too.
KBD Fans, it's shipping if you order more than $40. So add something to your order. Add a T-shirt to your order.
Or just upgrade it to the USB-C version and get free shipping. That's actually funny.
That's what I did for one of my orders.
It's probably cheaper to order this as USB-C than it is to order it as mini USB and pay shipping.
You are actually probably right.
That's a fun.
It's funny. I had a small order in the past, and I just added a T-shirt for like $5 just so I could make their free shipping in the past.
Their shirt's only $5.
I think when I got this, it was $5. Yeah.
That's really cheap.
I got a Chinese large, and I still don't know if it fits me yet. I don't know. I don't think it does, but we'll see.
Aren't you like a Vietnamese medium? Or a Vietnamese like extra large?
Right? Okay, but speaking of things that are extra popular recently, the Klippe over at Mechanisk, run by Leandrin, which we'll talk a bit more about him later and a cool thing he's doing. But for now, let's talk about the Klippe on sale, available at $169. Also available, you got some Nerd 60 PCBs, brass plates, some stabs, the premium package, and carbon fiber plates. So
yeah, so for those that aren't in the know, Mechanisk is a storefront that's run directly by Leandrin. So a lot of times Leandrin will just run like group buys on Geekhack or whole stock parts via like one-up keyboards or something, but this is actually his storefront. He just hasn't really used it a lot lately, but at least for now he's coming back here. Pretty good price. You can get just the Klippe case for $169, and you got lots of different color options, including white micro arc oxidation. Although he did note to me that they're not 100% certain on this. If it does not come out the way that he wants it, all the people that ordered the white micro arc are just going to be able to change to another color they want or cancel their order. So
that's good.
There's that. Keep that in mind. If you order the white micro arc, it's not 100% certain yet because he doesn't have a sample of it yet. But he wants it to be up to his quality standards, and if it's not, then it's going to get the axe, and you will be able to choose a different version of it or cancel. So, cool stuff.
Cool beans. And
what do you think about the premium package?
$250 for the Klippe, the Nerd 60 PCB, which is limited edition, which doesn't really matter. The quote-unquote best brass plate available, and genuine cherry stabs, and as well as premium gift packaging. But that's what you're getting for $250. It's not bad. Not bad.
Okay.
I mean,
so if we assume that the Klippe is $169, $170, on this site, that means you're paying $80 for a gun Nerd PCB, a brass plate, and what I'm going to assume are genuine cherry stabilizers in your choice of 6.25 or 7U. So for $80, you're getting a PCB, a brass plate, and stabilizers. That seems like pretty good value to me.
But what if you want to support 2U shift and split space, Ryan?
Well, like any reasonable person, Leandrin doesn't offer that option, thankfully.
Yeah. But yeah, for $80 for the rest of those components, not a bad dealio, to be honest.
Yeah, he even offers the brass HHKB layout plates, which is really cool.
Yes,
I like those a lot.
I want to get one of those in the future.
Yeah, and apparently the Nerd 60, I've never like really used a Nerd 60, but apparently they're very good.
They're easier to program than Bootmember Client.
Really?
Yeah, it has their own software, annoyingly, but I mean, it's literally like easier than clicking and dragging, because for some Bootmapper PCBs you have to like select the right version sometimes for some of them. This one you don't even have to do that. It's just like, there you go. It's connected. You go.
Cool.
You do your thing.
Yeah. I still need to get one of these and play around with it from Leandrin. Maybe I'll grab one soon.
You can even do mouse controls.
Ooh.
Which I guess you can do on the WinKeyless Bootmapper Client now.
I've never messed around with that because I just use a mouse instead.
Right? Got one of these.
Yep. Anyways, speaking of Klippe, Leandrin has been very, very kind, and he wants to do a giveaway. He has a black Klippe that he'd like to give away through us. We are not going to be doing it live on the show because we don't want only live viewers to be able to win. We want everyone to have a chance. So it'll be given away very soon in our Discord, our official Discord. Link is under the stream. And then, it's on our website, and it'll be under the YouTube VOD as well. So make sure you join the Top Clack official Discord, because we will be giving away a black Klippe there, as well as the new BKE Redux domes. I got a big pack of the light variant. We're going to be giving those away soon. I think J-Chan's also sending me a bag of the heavy variant, and we will also give those away. So lots of really cool giveaways going to be happening in the very near future on our Discord. So look out for that.
Awesome possum. Let's move on now to an interest check for this SX60, which is a split 60% board that has some macro keys on the side and big chunks of brass in it, apparently.
You had me at big chunks of brass.
I like big chunks of brass, and I cannot lie. The keyboard's comprised of 6 pieces: the bottom left body, bottom right, top left, top right, left weight, right weight.
This is basically a VEA, but not split.
But 60%. It is split, and it's 60%.
Well, I mean split in the sense that it's not 2 pieces. Like, it has a split in the middle, but it's not 2 pieces, right?
No, it is 2 pieces. You can pull them apart.
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was only looking at the first picture. Oops. Okay. Interesting.
Oh man, I like this though. I really do like this.
It's
all connectors will be USB Type C. Interesting. GMK in-switch LEDs. Layout support is pretty good. Pretty good. Only thing I would change for that layout is on the left side. I would give it so you can do the Control, Win, Alt, and then FN, and then that split space instead of FN at the farthest edge.
Yeah, that way you can actually have your space bars closer together.
Yes.
I agree with that. I think it looks kind of goofy when there's a 1U key in between your 2 space bars.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just me.
4 macro keys is a bit funny, a bit cute. Have them on the side. I don't know what you really want to use them for, but cool. Well, it's there.
It's an artisan holder, just like the VEA.
Man, I would, as for a split keyboard, yeah, I definitely strongly consider this. Like, look at those.
Pretty cool.
Those chunks of brass.
Yeah. I don't see any kind of pricing.
Yeah, we don't have really any pricing together. So right now, options considering is possible Cerakote options. Looking for anodizing, bead blasting, looking for factory. So it's still pretty early, it looks like. It's mostly just in the design phase, with the exception of this one prototype that has been made. But it doesn't look like they're necessarily super ready for production yet.
Yeah,
another one on my radar.
It's cool that he put up the IC and he has a prototype. That is cool. That almost never happens. Almost everyone puts out an IC before they have a prototype or like any like real concrete stuff going on. So it's cool that he was like, he thought forward enough to just have the actual prototype and then start the IC. Love it. I would consider one of these too. It's like it's friendly enough. Like the layout is friendly enough that I could probably get used to it without too much effort. Then I can have my artisans.
Next up, we have the T//C custom key. If there's a better way to say that, chat, let me know. But
yeah, maybe chat knows.
I'm just gonna call it the T//C custom keyboard because those are 2 slashes. Unless you're telling me that Kwanghui 1200 has developed the top clack keyboard for us. JK is not.
Yeah.
But
it would not look like this if we had a top clack keyboard.
Oh god, no.
Not saying this is awful, but ours would not be like this probably.
But hey, at least he has a prototype as well, with a really interesting 4-key artisan holder up top.
I like. Let's just default to calling anything like that an artisan holder. That is a sick artisan holster, man. All right, so what do you think about this very unique design?
But why?
Okay, so check this out. Do you remember, I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, when that guy was working on the Scribe keyboard?
Yeah, with the slider thingy.
This was the first thing I thought of when I saw this keyboard. It kind of has the same kind of like unique, like futuristic aesthetic with like additional artisan holsters. I think originally there was a slider
I
that
would
moved left
rather
right.
have a slider than those 4 keys.
I would too. I agree with that. But yeah, to me this looked very similar.
Okay,
And
then
I was like,
what deets do we have? 6063 aluminum, 8 degrees of slope, 2 RGB LED bars in the front. Layout
Winter Fox.
65/910/Winter Fox layout. Input Club.
Yeah,
Are you listening, Input Club? Maybe the next board should be the Winter Fox.
What you guys know about the Winter Fox?
The Winter Fox.
Come on, Winter Fox.
Oh, there's gonna be a counterweight and logo and possibly the RGBs underneath.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea, to be honest with y'all.
Not my cup of tea either. Although I like, so the very first comment is by who what seems like a very veteran.
Oh yeah,
very
CFO comments a lot.
tech user. And he says, so it's the same size as the 75%, but you get less keys. And I thought that was a funny comment because if you look at almost every single like premium, like nice custom high-end keyboard in our community, what do they all have in common? They're unnecessarily large, unnecessarily heavy, and they have more case than, you know, a lot of cheaper keyboards. It's not a surprise to this community that functionality often takes a back seat to aesthetic. Like that just happens in our community because what if you're spending $500 on a keyboard, what's more functional about that keyboard than, you know, $150 keyboard?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Please.
Let's see.
Puzzy tried to flame me, but he's still not disproving my point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't pay $500 for a case because it's more functional than a rubber dome keyboard. You pay it because you want that design. You pay it because you want that aesthetic. You want that premium weight. You want that to support that designer, etc.
Speaking of all those things you just mentioned, the intercheck for the 60S. Oh.
Yeah? How do you feel about this here?
Oh. It tingles me in places.
Which places? Seriously though, yes, this is a pretty sweet board.
It looks sweet. I don't know if it'll turn out sweet. I want it to turn out sweet.
Yeah, I want to see a real prototype.
This is the people who did the RS96, which is very, very similar to the ZZ96.
A little bit.
Yeah. Man, I like the design of that bottom accent.
Yeah, and how it's literally the bottom of the keyboard as opposed to just like a weight in a spot. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the angle on this one. Looks pretty nice too.
What details do we have? Embodies the seamless design that's the hallmark of our vision. A simple, delicate form that completely envelops its sharp, articulate interior. Damn, May Lily, you went to marketing school?
Yeah.
Oh, did you put that
actually?
in this?
Did I not? Thought I did.
The 60S also showcases the quality of our precision machining capabilities. Until you run your own hands over it yourself, you'll never be able to appreciate how truly satisfying it feels.
It kind of reminds me a lot of the Revo RJ. It's like the top two pieces a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very nice though. Yeah, I like that bottom part design. Make a weight just be part of the keyboard like that. I think it's pretty hot. So how many thousands of dollars is this going to cost?
0.35 thousands of dollars.
I actually can't find the price.
There's no price. It's interest check, Ryan.
Oh, I know. Sometimes they have estimate prices.
Mid-December is when they're expecting to start. So possibly next week.
Very soon. Yeah. Very cool.
There's also the option for a normal layout for those who don't want to use the HHKB layout for whatever silly reason.
Those heathens.
Yeah. Well, I will keep my eye on this. We'll see how it turns out in pricing and quality and everything else. TBD. But what do we have in other news? We have in other news this ridiculous project.
Huey, you're gonna talk about this while I excuse myself for just a moment.
Yeah, you excuse yourself. Back. I'm gonna talk about this because this is gonna be interesting. This is the big Switch Case and PCB, a limited, quote unquote limited, pre-order for 75 smackaronis. If you got the KL Big Switch from our wonderful partner Mike at Novelkeys, it's a giant case for that single Switch with apparently a GMK PCB and a 10mm RGB LED to make it glow. Yeah, there's a little thing right here. So it's a thing. Crazy. Pricing seems, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much it is to work with the wood. Maybe that's an okay price. It'd be a nice desk lamp or a little night lamp. But at least people are putting uses to these giant switches. Dang, that's really cool though. I don't know if I'd personally spend $75 on a single one. But I'd love to receive something like this as a gift, for example. Man. Crazy. Limited to 25 units, though. All pre-order sales are final. No MOQ. Will be open until the 18th. Since I can still add it to cart, I'm guessing that they have not sold all their spots yet. It's fully programmable. I don't know what would you use this giant switch for? If you had one giant switch on your desk, nightstand, bed, ceiling, wall, wherever you'd mount this, what would you do with this? What would you do with this? Megaforce has got the right idea. Power button. I know some people like power buttons. Just boop. Enter key. Boss key. Just I'm trying to get the dimension of size. That's a render, so there's like no like other real world sizing to it. So it's like this. Like this. Like this. But that is that. While Brian takes his sweet time, let's go to the next topic, guys. And the next topic is our wonderful partner at Novelkeys threw up an interest check. We did a bit of teasing of these last episode, but he's working on some Mousepads that are done after some pretty popular sets. That Pulse, Godspeed, and Laser. They're going to be 400mm by 900mm stitched edges. You know, the normal high quality or standard quality giant mouse pad things. Really, I think the Godspeed is like really the best option you could go with. So this is an interest check. So it looks like he has 3 designs for each. I feel like he's gonna end up choosing the best one of all of them to go with. He expects to be around $25 plus shipping. Yeah, and he got full permission from Mito, which is really, really nice, really, really cool. Ooh. So, look forward to this. Our partner, Mike at Novelkeys, is a stand-up individual. Speaking of standing up, Brian has just sat down and rejoined us. We are...
What did I miss?
Just finishing up the interest check for Mike's desk mouse pads, desk pads, etc., etc., etc.
Gotcha. Let me post the links to the 2 things that I've missed.
While Brian grabs you those linkaronis, we're gonna move on to an awesome little thing that fellow keyboard content creator Chokkan posted, which is he did a little tutorial on GMK. This looks like a part 1 of his tutorial. Really good thing he made, in my opinion, because a lot of people like Brian and I haven't committed ourselves to really getting into the nitty-gritty of GMK like other people, and I think something like a video series would be a great way for people to really ease into it, really check it out, really like it, really enjoy it. So hats off.
Yeah.
Hats off to working on this. I know he's talking to our Discord a few times. Awesome individual.
Yeah. Oh, apparently he's Stoic Lemon on Twitch, who's actually watched the show for a long time.
Yeah.
So very cool. Awesome. I recall that username. So yeah, this is good because, you know, stupid people like Huey and I can check this out and actually learn how to program PCBs. And then maybe we can buy those $35 PCBs from KBD fans.
And know what to do with them.
Exactly.
Like maybe I'll learn whatever this fancy tap dancing thing is.
I think you need particular shoes for that.
Right?
We should learn tap dancing, just so we can have an episode where we tap dance.
While tap dancing.
Oh my God, Huey! Tap dancing on keyboards.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh boy.
I'm gonna find some amateur tap dancers in this area and make a video now.
Fantastic.
Hi, would you mind ruining this keyboard for me? I will pay you. In YouTube views.
That's hardcore.
Check that out when you get a chance. Also, something else you can possibly check out is I did a review that just released literally before this episode aired, like 20 minutes before. My review on the Fjell and Hako Trues. Hako True. Yeah, just released. Sorry it took so long. I got delayed. I was sick earlier this week, but I recovered. The review's out. Fjell and Hako Trues. TLDR. Fjell's pretty cool. TLDR. Hako Trues are pretty cool. You might have already guessed that. Both those things really. Working on my next review already. My next 2 reviews. So gonna have things to work on. Still working on getting footage smoother and smoother and better. Hope you guys enjoy the review.
Did you use your gimbal on this?
I did use my new fancy gimbal.
Okay, I'll have to watch it. Oh man, that looks pretty fancy.
Yeah, right. I still need to work on it and dial some settings in pre and post production, but things going well. Things going well. So Brian, what's this silent Zealio teaser?
You know, obviously, I think I called this like months and months and months ago on the show when I learned that Gateron was doing silent switches. So if you have been out of the loop for a little while, Gateron put out some silent switches that did silent reds, silent blacks, and silent browns, which is like the first MX style stock silent tactile switch, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But when I saw that, I was like, wow, it's actually kind of interesting. A silent tactile switch, like in before silent Zealios. And guess what? Now it's possibly happening. Obviously, this is kind of just a little pick from a conversation that Zeal and Pudsey had on Discord. But you know, he didn't necessarily deny the fact that they were coming. Seems like they are. So pretty cool. Zealios, obviously an incredibly popular switch, and people have been really craving silence lately.
Brian, I believe you might be doing a build with his new round 8 Zealios in the near future.
Yeah, I'm planning on putting them in my 5 degree once it gets to me. It's been on the East Coast for a couple days because customs. But yeah, I got samples of the new updated spring version of the round 8 78 gram and 67 gram. I'll probably be sending the 67 gram to Huey, and then I'll probably do a build with the 78 gram myself. That way I'll be able to directly compare these to the Hako clears, because this will be a little bit more appropriate weight for that.
That is awesome. I'm excited to build it. Maybe I'll probably do a build instead of my original Telios build. Maybe I'll do that in my 5 degree as well.
We can both rock Zealios in our 5 degree.
Dual Zealios 5 degree build. Because I'm waiting for a brass plate from the J-Chan to come.
The Chan. Did you get the black one?
Yeah.
I want to get. Yes, I want to get one of the black PVD brass plates. Those are sweet.
I'm gonna do a Winkila 60% build.
Ooh,
Right?
it's pretty hot. How
And
are the blockers on that, by the way? Have you actually looked at them yet?
they're pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's hard to say. They mount better with a plate than plateless. But it is about time, Brian, to reel in our guest.
Oh yes. Let me hopefully call him in and he'll be ready.
Ring, ring, ring.
That's gonna
Top
be
Clack phone.
that's gonna be here. All right, here is our first attempt to call him, and I've never talked with him before, live like this. Hopefully, this will go over well. Hello, Kingnestea. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome. Wow, and your microphone quality is very good too.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, hello, welcome to the show. You're live right now. Can you give us a little information on who you are and the kind of things that you do in the keyboard community?
Yeah, my username is Kingnestea, and I actually design keysets. I designed SA Strong Spirit and Masky Line, and I also work with teams in China and a lot of fans in China in different projects like camping and also with Percent. I'm very close to Percent. I recently organized the canoe group buy together with Beaming Robot. So that's actually the stuff that I have done.
Okay, cool. So you've been doing this kind of stuff for a little while now. What have you learned about doing these kind of projects? Like what have been the best and the worst parts about the kind of projects that you've been working on?
The worst part is that you have to take real good consideration when you are designing a key set, because the compatibility is sometimes something that you have to give up in terms of balancing the pricing, but the problem is people is gonna be asking for more and more, and sometimes you have to you have to give up on some compatibility, and that's the worst thing. Then I sometimes I do feel very sad that I cannot satisfy everyone. The best thing is that during this project, because I love helping people, and also sometimes I just help friends. Like I live in Belgium, and I'm in a Slack for Dutch people, So sometimes I help the people in there to get their the stuff they want from China and kind of stuff, and that brings me joy, really, to be honest.
Awesome. Yeah, we need more people like that. Always helping people is very important. So yeah, like you said, this is something a lot of people don't think about when you run key sets, for example, or you know some other board that involves a lot of parts. You often cannot make everyone happy because you have to, you have to find that balance, like you said, cutting costs and trying to make as many people happy as possible. But just like how on every key set group buy thread, people are like, where is this key? Where is that key? I want these keys, but you can't always satisfy everyone, and it sucks. But that's kind of just the way it goes. So let's talk a little bit about Max Keys Lime while we have you here. What was kind of the design process behind that? Because this key set was all you, right? It was strictly designed by you.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's being ran by our awesome partners at Input Club, Kono.store. So what was the design process there? Are you a margarita kind of guy?
I was actually thinking about designing a set as my second set, because Strong Spirit was went for a while, and I was actually, the story after this set is quite interesting, because I was actually playing around with KLE, and got a colorway, and I went to DC's camper and said to him, "Can you actually render this? I want to see how good it looks like." But it came out totally different than what I thought, and than what I had on KLE. But it looks pretty much good, and that was actually the render that was made as Lime is now. So it was kind of an incident.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and after that, I had to pick up a suitable Pantone for the new colors, because they were not in the color chip samples from Signature Plastic. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any upcoming key set designs that you want to tease that you haven't told anyone about yet? Are you working on anything secret?
No, not for key sets, because I think I'm gonna rest a little bit for key sets. But in the meanwhile, we have recently found a studio group in China among friends, some makers and PCB makers and people, all good friends of mine, and we are going to do some keyboard projects. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the current plan, actually.
Anything in particular that you want to tease right now?
Not really, because we sat down yesterday. Yes, because the plan is we will do China first. We'll do China first, and after that we will bring the board, we will bring the design to the Western community, and then I mean, if the quality is good and we are able, because I'm still testing the manufacturer, and if everything looks good to me, maybe we will be taking jobs from Western designers. That's actually the current plan, because I was thinking that a lot of designers, a lot of makers from the Western community, they are actually going to China for manufacturers blindly, and that's the problem, and I want to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something. Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't realize in the Western community, because almost we're not in China. We're in the West, and we don't often have the luxury of going to these Chinese manufacturers to look at the product as it's being made and quality test it and look at everything and make changes there on the spot. We don't have that luxury. We just have to put in our order, get a prototype and hope everything works out okay. And a lot of times it doesn't. Look at stuff like the X60, how that group I turned out. The prototype looked very good, but the real production product didn't come out as well. So,
and there was actually also the story behind M65, why that goodbye has went wrong. And the last time that I talked to Jay Chan, he told me that he sent back like the half of the products back to China, and the half of the products he sent back to China came back, and the other half is just frozen in the fridge or something. And I was responsible for the Chinese goodbye. We had like 23 orders or something like that, but the half of the products that we got are with issues. That's actually something that that you want to avoid when you are doing with a Chinese manufacturer.
Definitely. So to help clarify, so after you guys are working on your current keyboard projects, you also your group plans on being a kind of a source to help Western designers source a manufacturer or to work with you to design with a manufacturer. Yes. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I'm planning to do, because I've been thinking about Percent. He's an artist. I have to say that I have to give him that. He's pretty keen on his product and quality control, but the problem is he's not good at keeping timeline, and that's actually the reason why I haven't introduced Present to a lot of makers. Yeah, but I think with the manufacturer that we now have, we are pretty convenient with the timeline that they can keep, and also the quality. But I have to verify that, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on to something a little bit different. What has been the best group buy or project you've worked on, and why?
The best project, I will say, SA camping. But that wasn't actually my own project, but I would say that was the best project that I have worked with, because it was actually a project among friends. I mean, maybe people know that already, but it was actually meant to be a project within the camp group, within a bunch of friends. But we brought that to the Western because there were demands, there were interest, and during the process of the project, because I was responsible in communication with Signature Plastic, and different from the other projects that I had, is we were working with friends. That's actually the most important thing that I think. So I do think that the best project that I have ever done is SA camping.
Awesome. Would that also be your favorite key set at the moment?
Nope. My favorite key set at the moment or has always been SA carbon. Yeah.
SA carbon.
That's
okay.
carbon.
Yeah.
Classic.
That's actually the set that brought me to the community. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, that's a good lead into my next question. What exactly brought you into the community? Like what made you want to do and use keyboards?
I think just like most of us, I wanted to have a better keyboard, a different keyboard. That was actually the reason. That brought me to the community. I was looking for keyboards. I mean, before I entered the community, I have been using mechanical keyboards for years, but like Ducky or Razer, I had a Razer. Yeah.
Boo!
And,
No, kidding.
and then one day suddenly, I saw the picture of a I don't know which keyboards that maybe it was a Cooler Master with SA Carbon on it, and I was like, whoa, what is this thing? Yeah, and I started my research on the key set, and that brought me to the community actually.
Okay. How long ago was that?
I think almost 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Back when SA carbon was a little bit more in demand.
Now that you're in the community now, you're hopefully no longer using that Razer keyboard. What keyboard do you
No.
keyboard do you currently have on your desk?
I have a XD60 with, let me show you, with SA Godspeed on a wooden case. Yes, with brass plate. Yeah, and box Y switches.
Ooh, box whites, very good.
Good choice.
Very
Yes.
Good choice.
Like those. So, why not use something like the Canoe or the Skog or like other boards you've had a hand in helping with?
Actually, I switch between boards every week. That's the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your boards in your collection that you're most proud of?
Sorry?
What are the boards that you currently own that you are most proud of?
The Canoe and the Scott, and I think C225, because that was my first custom actually. That was my first custom, and I was within the group. And yeah, that was actually. I mean, I got the first batch with some issues, but that's a board that with history as being my first custom.
Okay. Yeah, I remember a while back, Oblatsky, a German designer, was telling me that the Canoe and the Skog just like percents quality control is really, really good. And the finish on these boards is absolutely incredible. And at the Northern California meetup, I got to try both of them. And I will say that is completely true. The finish on them is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
And it makes me really want a canoe and a skybox.
Yeah, I think the difference between the present boards and the other customs is actually the material that has been used, because he used 6063, and the average custom keyboards they use 61 aluminum. And I mean, I'm not a material expert, but I work for an engineering firm, and I asked once to my colleague who has more knowledge about material, and he did say to me that 63 aluminum is more soft and easier to handle, and in terms of surface finishing is more smooth than 61. I think that's actually the secret behind the present boards, and also it has something to do with sand spray, of course.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, yes. Interesting.
So one thing I picked up really interesting between you and a lot of our other guests, as a designer, you always mention that you worked with a lot of different groups. It seems like there's a big difference between Eastern and Western, or just designers that work a lot with the Chinese community and versus the Western community, because a lot of the designers in the Western community work very solo, very alone, while a lot of designers who work closely with the Chinese community like to form groups and work together for projects. Why do you think there's this kind of divide in the mindset of the different designers?
I don't think there is a different in mindset. It's just the process. It's just the whole process that is quite different. And I mean, after you are designing a keyboard, and the mindset behind the Western designers and the Eastern designer, I don't think there is a lot different. It's just the process and how they handle the group buys and in terms of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I've seen a couple questions in the chat already. We will be moving to a Q&A segment very soon where you can ask Kingnestea all sorts of questions that you want to know, and or ourselves, and we will get to that very, very soon. So, but before that, we must know, Kingnestea, and I think being in Belgium kind of answers this already, but do you prefer waffles or pancakes?
Man, you really need to ask that.
It's been a while.
Of course, it's waffle. Of course, it's waffle.
Yeah. And Belgian waffles tend to be a lot better than our silly American waffles, so that's understandable.
We have really fancy waffles here, with like chocolate cream and strawberries and everything on top of that. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, they're also like they have a much nicer texture. It's very light and crispy.
Yes.
I'm jealous. I'm really hungry right now. Actually, if anyone was wondering where I went earlier, like 20 minutes ago on the show, I ordered Uber Eats earlier, and it got delayed by like an hour. So that was my food arriving. It was supposed to be here before the show. So sorry I'm talking about that. But anyways, now's probably a good time to move into our Q&A segment. So if you got questions, we all have answers. If you have questions for Kingnestea, make sure you put those in the Twitch chat. Now is a good time.
Please tag the @TopClack name, and we'll get to those. Before we start on the first question, I have to ask, Kingnestea, where did you get your username from?
I have been using Nesty as my username. Not behind that StarCraft player or something, because I got a lot of these questions. People were asking me if your username is after the StarCraft player. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea who he is. I've been using Nesty as my username since I think year 2000 or something, 2000 or 2001. And when I registered on Reddit, I wanted to use that name, but it was in use, so I just picked Kingnestea. Okay.
So what made you pick that username back in 2000 then?
I have no idea. Maybe I was kind of into nasty or something. I drank that a lot. Maybe I have no idea.
Awesome. So, out of curiosity, and you do not have to answer this if you don't want to, but how old are you?
I am 32.
32. Okay, so pretty experienced in the community then. You've been around for a little while. All right, we have a lot of questions coming in.
Questions
Awesome.
are coming in. This is good.
All right, so Ashing Fire asks, did you guys see the pictures for one of the keyboards that was finished off in the E6 V2? And then he sends a link. Send Kingnestea the link also and ask him his opinion. I can't wait to get my keyboard. All right, so that link is broken. That's very unfortunate. I go to open it and it's error 404. So repost that link, the correct one, please, when it's fixed, and then we will get back to that. Anchorbait asks, recommended PCB for all PCB mount builds. Thinking of DZ60, but that Swiss might pose issues. The Swiss cheese.
If you're doing a all PCB mount, maybe like a GH60, something with just the minimal amount of layout support, as long as it supports your layout. Because the less holes you have, the less wiggle you have for your modifier switches is what it comes down to if you're doing a PCB mount.
Yeah, and then just the more material you'll have around the switches, so it won't feel as hollow, I guess. Yeah. All right. A Missing Piece asks, what's Kingnestea's favorite layout?
My favorite layout is, I think currently is 65%, but ISO. Yeah.
ISO. Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite layout.
Right on. All right. Melodit asks, just got my first HHKB. What mods do you all recommend? How do you feel about the HHKB, Kingnestea?
I have never used a HHKB, to be honest. I wanted one, but with those high pro keycaps. If someday I can find any of those high pro keycaps that Huey has, or the
amount of work that he has put into this board.
Yeah, maybe someday. Maybe someday, if I found those keycaps, I will buy a HHKB. But I had a Wheel Frost with high pros. It feels good. But I want to try a HHKB because I've been hearing that it's better. It's better than Wheel Frost. Yeah.
That's preference. In terms of typing experience and how good it feels, I prefer the Real Force.
Okay.
But I like the look and the layout of the HHKB a lot more.
Let's go back to the original question, though. Recommended mod to the HHKB, lube for sure. Like, you're only going to make it better unless you overlube it, which is harder to do than underlubing it. So, lube. If you're lucky enough and you can find a Novatouch for cheap and you want to do a Novatouch slider mod, it might affect the feel in a negative way, but you can put GMK keycaps on, which is always an improvement on life, or SA keycaps, since they do have those fancy SA Topra spacebars. Other than that, that's the main things. BKE domes from J-Chan.
Yeah, those new BKE domes, which we'll be giving away at a later date in our Discord. I think that's probably a good way to do it. Personally, I don't care for 45-gram Topra that much, particularly on the HHKB. I think 45-gram Topra feels a little lackluster. So for me, I would either opt for 55-gram domes or maybe one of the new BKE Redux variants. But lube is where I would go first because it's cheap, it's not that hard to do, and it makes a big difference. It also makes your keyboard quieter too. So if you've been thinking about silencing methods like silencing rings or dental bands or whatever the cool kids do these days, try lube first because lube cuts down the noise quite a bit. Alrighty then, on to the next one. HHKB for Life asks, in your opinion, Kingnestea, which GMK set is the most popular in China?
GMK Carbon? That's a pretty easy question. But one thing I want to mention, because I don't think a lot of people is aware of this, GMK is not that famous anymore in China, because Zifonti organized a lot of group buys when they first entered the market, and sometimes it's the thing that if you are losing money after buying a set after the group buy, then you are not gonna join the group buy. That's the thing. I think that's the thing after group buy, because if you are losing money, then why wouldn't I just wait until the set has shipped and buy it on the aftermarket?
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's as I have heard, GMK 9009 sold much less in China than in Korea. And I mean, I can understand that, but a lot of people, they went to me and like Yang Clack Dean, that's actually the designer of 9009. He asked my opinion about the Chinese process before he launched the goodbye, and I told him this. And yeah, I mean, if you are running a GMK goodbye and you want to distribute it in China, then you have to take that in mind, that GMK is not that famous. You cannot expect a lot of sales in China.
Okay. On that same kind of scenario, Bug Whisperer says, yes, I'd love to hear more about Chinese markets' preferences and proclivities. Wow, I can't even say that word. Towards switches and keyboards. So, in the Chinese community, what are the things that they like a lot and dislike a lot?
Do they still really like Philcos?
Philcos, yeah. I mean, the Philco community is a different community to the mechanical keyboard community. I mean, the true mechanical keyboard community, because one thing is quite interesting in China, because the community is actually not based on forums as Keycaps or Reddit. I mean, there is not much forums that you can go to. The community is actually based in QQ groups, and we have a lot of QQ groups. But I mean, I never browse a forum or something in China. But there are forums like the Baidu Tieba. There is another community who really praise Philcos. I mean, that's something that really different from the Western community. And for preference, I think switches, when it comes down to switches, is personal. I mean, you have people who likes clicky and you have people who likes linear. That's really personal, just as the Western community. Yeah,
definitely. What about keycap profiles?
Keycap profile, I think SA is of course the hot item in China also. I think Strong Spirit sold a lot more in China than in the Western community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think if you just launch a SA keycap set in China, they are gonna be crazy about it. I mean, it's cooled it a little bit down now because the SAQ of signature plastic, the people they are not willing to wait that long, but still.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Avid user 2 asks Kingnestea, thoughts on aluminum 7075, the material?
I always think, in my opinion, it's pretty silly to use the 7 series for keyboards, because why you use the 7 series of aluminum for products? It's because the hardness. The 7 series is actually more hard than the 6 series, and sometimes you need that for like phone cases, like the iPhone. They switched to the Series series because iPhone 6 was banned, and it has the 6 series. So in case of thin material, you do have that. You do need that hardness. But I mean, for a keyboard, it's a solid aluminum pieces, and you don't need that hardness. So it's actually also the same difference between 61 and 63.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, that that difference in hardness actually can affect how your keyboard finishes, the
Yeah,
surface finish.
yeah, the
So
surface finish, and it also bumps up the pricing. Why would you use the 7 series for a keyboard? I mean, I won't use that.
okay, so is the harder aluminums tend to cost more money?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. That's good to know though. Um, Avid User 2 also asks, can we hear some about keyboards in China versus West in terms of keyboards key sets? So we kind of went over that already, but if you have more thoughts on that, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest difference, is 60% in China. It's not a thing. I mean, that's the biggest difference, because if you are Chinese, you have to type Chinese on
Oh,
your
okay.
computer. You need that number row. You need a number row for the input middle. So 60% is kind of that.
Interesting. I never even thought about that. That makes so much sense though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Ashen Fire did actually follow up with a link of the E6 V2 micro arc oxidation that he wanted us to share with Kingnestea. I'm gonna go ahead and put that link in Skype just in case you're not following along in the Twitch chat. But he wanted you to see this, and he wanted our thoughts on how the micro arc came out.
Um, I have a Scott with micro art ceramic, right? My my first on that is actually, uh micro art is pretty fragile, so it gets damaged easily, and that's actually the main problem. Actually the main problem. A lot of ceramic rice got from China uh, were with issues, small scratches during transportation, kind of stuff. I mean, it's not a daily driver. It's not a daily driver. If you think that looks good, okay, that looks good, but I won't use it as a daily driver. But I do like the color. I mean, the color is pretty good.
Yeah, I had the same kind of experience with the Alpha X2. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's not quite as white as I would like it. It's more of a beige cream kind of color. It still looks nice. Hopefully, this E6 V2 will have a bit more whiter of a color. That's kind of what it looks like in the pictures, but it still looks a little bit of an off-white, but we'll see. It's hard to say. We don't know what kind of lighting he used here. But I will say, I will agree with Kingnestea that it does get damaged very quickly. I got a scratch on the Alf
Yeah.
pretty easily without doing a whole lot. So that is
No.
something to take in mind. All right. HHKB for Life asks us, do holy pandas need a 3 to 4 week break-in period before lubing? Um, I yeah, why not? I mean, I would advise to always do that when possible with new switches, especially if you have not used the Halo stems in a switch before, so like the stem hasn't been broken in, or if you haven't used the Panda housing in a switch before. So using them together, yeah, a month would be pretty good. You might get a little bit smoother of a result once you do go to lube them. So that's preference, but if you can afford the time, then I would definitely say yes. Missing Piece says Kingnestea is a true man of culture.
Thank you.
All right, Anchorbait asks, I'm looking for some new lube. I've used Krytox VPF and it was absolutely amazing, but I can't find it anywhere for a reasonable price. Any alternatives? I have never used VPF. Is that a particular Krytox lube or blend. I haven't heard of that before, so I don't know any alternatives to that. I mean, if you like thinner lubes, I think 106 oil, which is a thicker oil, but it's still an oil, is pretty well respected. I know Krellbit, popular keyboard luber, likes Krytox 106 oil a lot. That's something you can use. If you like something a little bit thicker, then he hopefully will be releasing the 203 and 204 greases. Those will be pretty good and pretty reasonably priced. Otherwise, I mean, I know people don't like blends as much, but I like the thin mix from like Zeal or Tech Keys or Meki or whoever stocks the thinner blends from Mkawa. I think those are totally fine. I've been using those for a while. I haven't had any issues. So I guess those are my alternatives. Avid User 2 asks, is DCS more popular in China? I saw Percent ran a DCS group buy.
Nope. That that is actually absolutely a misunderstanding, because Percent he came to me and said to me that he wanted to run a key set. Our original plan, because I helped him with DCS%, I was responsible for the communication between Signature Plastic, and the original plan was actually SA, but due to the SAQ, then he gave up on SA. He gave up on SA, and DCS is actually a alternative, because DSA is also pretty much dead in China. No one is gonna join the group buy, since there is XDA and it's much more affordable, and DCS was actually an alternative. And I won't say it's popular, because we still have like 40 sets in stock.
Wow.
And that is there. It is barely selling. I mean, no one wants a DCS set, but they joined the goodbye just to support Percent.
Okay. Was DCS ever popular in China? It seems like it never really made its way over there.
Yeah, it definitely was. It
was. Okay.
Yes, it was. But yeah.
All right. Striker X09 asks, talking about the Chinese market, what would be the best ways to order from Taobao?
The best way to order from Taobao, I use a forward company. Yeah, and it's basically I just buy stuff and send them to the forward address I have in China, and we ship them to Belgium. I ship like 2 or 3 packages every month. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So a lot of people are asking about the Chinese market and stuff. So Kingnestea is actually not in China right now. He lives in Belgium.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is very in tune with the Chinese market, but that's just something to consider for a lot of these questions that are coming up. All right. Ravel17 asks, why do you guys think mod switches are so unpopular now? High prices, Kale too competitive? Mod switches, huh? Yeah, I think they're a little expensive for what they are. I don't think round 1 came out quite as well as even Sheraton was hoping. I don't know. Is there an updated version of mod switches now? I haven't actually heard of a round 2 yet.
I think there is. They've kind of just made the round 2s kind of when they have it, it'll sell. But I think like one of the big things for me was like, for when I think of what I considered at the time B tier tactile switches, you had Zealios and you had mod switches. Zealios were smoother, mod switches had the bigger bump. But now with the new round 8 Zealios with that bigger bump as well, at least for me, if I'm gonna compare both of those, there's no reason to get a mod switch. And then at the same exact time, if I'm not looking to pay that premium for Zealios, like the questioner mentioned, Kale's been really competitive with all their switches, all their prices. especially with Mike at Novelkeys, our partner, releasing all these different kind of switches. They give you a lot of options, as well as letting those options be purchased from anyone, anywhere in the world for other vendors. He's only has the exclusivity in North America.
Yeah, and ironically enough, I happen to have some of the mod heavies and the Round 8 Zealios right in front of me. And I will tell you right now that the Round 8 Zealios are infinitely better.
In both smoothness and bump, right?
Yes, the bump is not only bigger, but it feels a lot nicer to me, and it's night and day for smoothness. The Round 8 Zealios are so much smoother. It's not even a competition. So I'd like to see a more updated, correct version of the mod switches. But right now, I think Kale's too competitive. I think these Zealios in particular are just too much better. That it's actually worth the price increase. So mod is in a very weird area right now for those switches. All right. Professor Pepper asks, what is Kingnestea's day job? Does it involve keyboards?
No, totally not. I work as a electrical and instrumentation engineer for engineering company. And what we do is actually more for the petroleum and chemical industry. So it's nothing to do with keyboards.
Don't worry, we'll all be living the dream eventually and working in keyboards.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time.
That's true. I mean, after I have entered the community and lately and recently, I mean, sometimes it's pretty hard for me to combine my day job, and I thought to get up on all the projects that they are still planned, because I'm spending like 2 or 3 hours or the whole night after work for keyboard stuff. I mean, yeah, that's sometimes it's hard.
Most definitely. All right, Tamu-san asks, should I not lube my vintage blacks and use them before lubing? It depends if they're like new old stock. Have they been used before? If they have not been used before, then I would consider using them for a little while before you lube them. If they, like a lot of other desoldered vintage black switches, have been used before, then you're probably fine. You're probably not going to get any benefit at all from waiting to lube them. Avid User 2 asks Kingnestea, what switches do you like, and do you mod them?
My favorite switches at the moment is Retorted MX Blacks and Box White. I mean, I'm not really a switch guy. Once I found that that the switch is good enough for me, then I would just stick with them. I mean, I have like 5 boards with MX Blacks now, and then another 5 boards with Box Whites.
Okay. Do you modify your switches at all? Like, do you lube them or change the springs or anything?
Springs, yes, but not all of them. I have different boards with different springs, like from 55 gram to the normal one, the 62 grams gone switches also. Yeah, that's actually. I mean, I don't do a lot of stuff on my switches. If they are good enough for me, then they are good enough.
Okay, fair enough. In that same sense, actually, I have a question. So in the Chinese community, do they have a switch spring preference, like a particular weight that they use a lot of?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think a lot of people is changing the springs of the switches. I mean, some people are doing that, but the average people, they don't change the springs in China. They just have it as it is.
Okay.
There's also a big difference between the Chinese community and the Western community, because in the Chinese community, we have a lot of professional assembly service. So people, they even a guy, they know nothing about keyboards or something, or soldering, they can join a custom group buy. That's actually also why custom keyboards are more accessible in China, because we have so many professional assembly services. You can just order a keyboard and have it sent to the assembly guy. That's also actually what I do mostly, and have him build it and send to you straight. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Jazzy Brewer asks, favorite keyboard incline? So the angle, typing angle.
6 degrees. Yeah. 6 degrees. I have different varieties. I had a Dark Orion V2. I think it's like 12 degrees or something, but it's I'm not so comfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah, duck boards are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Huey? What's your favorite angle?
Between 6 and 8. After 8, for me, it gets a bit excessive.
Yeah, I think that's probably the same for me. I think 6, 7, 8 in that range is good for me. Anything after 8 is a little too much. Striker X09 says, everyone talks about Zealios, but what about Telios? I like Telios a lot.
Yeah.
I'm more of a linear guy than I am a tactile guy, generally speaking, so I actually prefer the Telios.
But I was wondering, do they still have the rumble? I mean, they used to have a lot of rumble in the Steam, but yeah.
They're better now.
They are better.
They're not the most stable Switch that I've ever used, but they're a lot less wobbly than previous earlier on round Zealios.
Okay.
They don't wobble as much as a Gateron Switch typically.
Okay.
So it's nice, and I think the spring weight is very good, and they are incredibly smooth. Probably the smoothest stock linear that I've used. So I think that's the main appeal. Mom CX asks, the round 8 Zealios, are all the stems updated or just the 67, 78 gram? So the way it works is actually the stems are still the same. It's the springs that have been changed. And as we've learned from Switches like Halo and Hako's, designed by Input Club, is you can change the feel of the Switch quite a bit by the spring that you put in it. Particularly tactile Switches even. The bump, the actual tactility, the feel of it, can be changed just by the spring. The spring doesn't just affect the weight, it affects the way the Switch feels entirely. So something to keep in mind. It's just the springs that were updated on the 67 gram and 78 gram, not the stems. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to go through some more of these questions. Striker asked another question. Thoughts on box burnt oranges? They're not as tactile as I would like, and it's not my preferred style of tactility, but the weight is nice and it's very smooth.
The only burnt orange I've used is my giant one.
Yeah, and that's not even the box one. That's the speed one.
Yeah, it's a speed one.
Ashenfire asks, can Kingnestea show us his keyboard collection if possible? And what is Quakeham's and Manofinterests' day job? All right, so it's a two-parter there. Do you mind showing off any of your collection? You don't have to. I understand.
I can show off like 2 or 3 because I have like 10 keyboards lying there, but they are all lying under my bed. So maybe I can show off 2 or 3 if you want.
Sounds good.
Just give me a minute.
Okay. While he's looking for those, Huey and I can talk about our day jobs a little bit. I actually work at a casino. I am what's called a dual rate, which means I am a table games dealer. So I deal stuff like blackjack and that kind of thing. And I'm also a floor supervisor. So I moderate and supervise all the people that are doing that job, table games dealing. So depending on the day, I do one of those 2 things. What about you, Huey?
I wear nice clothes. No, I do more than wear a collared shirt.
Versace.
No, I work as a solar system designer. I design solar systems for residential and commercial properties for people who buy solar. We send someone to measure their roof. They give me those measurements. I put panels on their roof, make sure that their electrical stuff is all to code, their roof stuff is to code, submit that paperwork to the city for permits, and send it to the installation team so they can install the design I made.
That sounds so interesting, Huey, but let's get back to keyboards now.
Keyboards.
Okay. This is the latest keyboard that I received, the Moon.
Oh, the Moon.
I don't know if you see that. Wait, let me turn the lights off. Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
This is the Moon with SA camping on it.
Wow, that weight is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Canoe.
Oh yeah, I need one of those. I love that weight. Well, what key set was on that? Was that Hyperfuse?
Yes, Hyperfuse, GMK Hyperfuse.
Very nice, very nice. And like a proper 65%, he has the artisans on that extra column. Earlier in the show, we were calling stuff like that the artisan holder.
This is a Check 60, I think. Check 60 with XD60 PCB and SA carbon.
Very nice. Trick 60 is probably my favorite low-profile keyboard, if I had to pick one.
The Kira 60 from TC's Camber.
Oh wow, nice.
This is actually the second version of the prototype. I got them from him. Yeah.
Wow, very nice.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I mean, I love actually how smooth the surface finish is because it has 61 aluminum, but the surface finish is pretty smooth. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
With GMK terminal on it.
All right.
And a TGR 910 special edition.
Ooh, that looks nice.
Optic film with GMK optic film. Yeah.
Lubing. Wow, that looks amazing. I love that combo.
Yeah, I mean, a very special thing of this board is actually the design of the wedge insert because it has actually two wedge inserts. I don't know. I don't know if you can see that. That's pretty interesting. I mean, when the first that I received this board, I was thinking like, oh, that's a pretty interesting design.
Yeah. Are they both made of brass?
I think this one is steel. This one is steel and brass in the middle.
That board's probably fairly heavy then. Nice.
Yeah, it's quite heavy. But I mean, the one thing that I don't like about the TGR boards because it's made with the 5 series aluminums that feels, I mean, it feels more like a metal than the other boards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the boards that I have to show.
Awesome. Well, now that we're all jealous, we can move on to another question. Oblotsky asks, "What do Chinese despise the most?" Interesting question. I don't know if he's referring to keyboards or just in general, but maybe you can give us some thoughts on that either way.
That's a hard question. What do you mean despise? I mean, there are people like there are people for everything.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about it in the keyboard sense. This is a keyboard show. What does the Chinese community absolutely hate about keyboards? What do they just all not do?
What do they just all not do? Well, 40%.
There we go.
Actually, That's actually a thing that I mean, there are some fancy peoples in China. They are using 40%, but it's generally, I mean, it's not comfortable to use because if you have to type Chinese, you are gonna use the number rows like every 5 seconds or every 2 seconds, and without a number row, that's not so comfortable to type on. Yeah.
Okay. AXM asks, are Zealios as popular in China as they are in the West?
Nope. Last year, when I first heard, or I think it's 1.5 years ago, when I first saw Zealio in the Western community, I was looking for Zealios in China. And I mean, almost no one was aware of those switches. But it's available in China. It's available in China, but not on Taobao store. You have to know people to buy those. But recently, because more and more Chinese, they are coming on Reddit. They are coming on Reddit, and some people, they learn this kind of stuff, and there are people using Zealios and also Telios, but it's not that popular as in the Western community. The majority is still the Cherry MX series. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think KBD fans now stocks.
Yeah, now, but
Zealios. But
not
back
bad
then,
with
yeah.
back then. No one knows Zealios.
Yes. Why are people commenting on my clothes? You want to see me in work clothes? You want to see me in a tux? What?
You're the only one, Brian, without a collar, so come on.
I don't have a fancy job. I don't.
Yeah, because I have this on. I have this on because I usually get up on 5:30, and I woke up earlier today for the show, and I prepared everything so that I can just leave after the show. I mean, to work. Yeah.
Yeah. See, he's actually an engineer, so he does important things, and I sit around and I keyboard, kind of. Meowgo11 is asking, what are the artisans on Kingnestea's canoe?
I think they are called the Kira by Hidden Lab. Yeah.
Oh yes.
So
Okay.
again, those. They did
Gotcha.
they did come with a fancy box. Let me grab that.
Okay. Quick question. Mog Genius asked earlier if we're gonna have a build stream after the show today. Probably not. I don't think we or I have anything to build at the moment. 5-degree builds with the new Zealios. That'll hopefully be very soon.
This is the box
Ooh.
that they came in.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Didn't that run on Clack?
I don't know. I have no idea.
J-Chan? I'm pretty sure J-Chan did something like that.
Not on Keycaps. I don't think on Keycaps, but some product of Hidden Lab were run on Keycaps, but not this one. I think this one I got it from a friend of mine in China. It's a pretty fancy box.
I like the idea of artisan boxes. That one seems a little extreme to me, to just put 3 artisans in a box that size, but I like the idea.
Maybe you can get one of these. This is a box that I put all my artisans in. Let me open it.
What is your favorite artisan on that line?
My favorite artisan. I'm not really an artisan guy, but I think the Fugus and the Bro Box, they are my favorite. Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Fugu still in a bag. Keep it protected.
Yeah.
Mog Genius is asking, does the DZ60 PCB fit in Poker 3 cases?
Yes.
I would imagine so. They use a pretty standard mounting solution, kind of like most 60% do. So it should, yeah. 60% PCBs tend to be very universal, as long as they have that like left mount USB. Yeah. Anchor Bait is asking opinion on Switch films over Switch stickers. I've used stickers several times in the past, and they haven't made much difference at all for me. I have not tried any of these new Switch films that everyone is losing their minds over, like Oblatsky.
I bought some. I will tell you how that feels.
Okay, good. Yes, someone needs to. So I think I believe he's sending me some at some point, but I won't. I don't know when that's going to be, but we can figure that out when the time comes. Avaduser2 is asking Kingnestea, do you have any other sweet boards incoming?
I think I have. I counted yesterday. I still have 7 boards incoming. I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Including the exam, as everyone is waiting for, and the mirror special edition, and another board from the Chinese community. Some prototypes and stuff. Yeah.
All right. Mago Jesus is asking, will Kingnestea sell that Kira 60 to me?
No.
Probably not.
No, because my Kira 60 is handwritten and signed by TC's Camper himself. So I will never sell that.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's also making me a Kira X, the 1800 layout Kira. I think it's gonna be ready for next week. So he showed me some pictures of the production yesterday. I think normally it's shipped it out this week, but it's delayed it. And that one has my username engraved on the board.
Ooh.
So I will never gonna sell that.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
I need a personal board like that.
You do, Ryan. You do.
I do. At least the E6 V2 will have my custom nameplate on it. That's something. Not quite as cool as engraved on the board itself, but it's still very cool. LOL Shecky is asking Kingnestea, what plate material do you prefer?
I think aluminum and brass, they are both good for me. I tried polycarbonate, but it's too hard for me, to be honest. Because if you type on a board with a polycarbonate plate, then it feels like, I mean, how do you say that? It feels like so cold because it's so hard when the bottom out is so straight and.
Yeah, it's very similar to steel in that same respect. Brass and aluminum are a lot softer of a bottom out. Yeah. Okay. Mog Genius asks, opinion on USB-C versus mini USB?
I prefer mini USB because I have but I mean, after all, it's actually personal preference. I don't know if there is any technical difference between mini USB and Type-C, since it's just a keyboard. But I do prefer mini USB because I have a lot of cables made. So with mini USB. So I mean, if I have a board incoming with Type-C, and I was thinking about which cable do I need for that. I always pair my cables with the keyset. With the keyset, and once I put a keyset on the board, I'm probably never gonna change it. So I always pair my cable up with the keyset on the keyboard. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we are just about at our time for today. So we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping things up here. Quick note: we are doing giveaways. It's not going to be on stream. It's going to be in our official Top Clack Discord. Once again, you can find that link under the stream, or the YouTube VOD, or or the Podbean AOD, or our website. It's everywhere. So look forward to that. We have a black Klippe to give away, courtesy of Leandrin over at Mechanisk. Really awesome. We got. I actually have this on hand. We got BKE Redux domes, courtesy of J-Chan over at Keycaps. Those will be given away soon too. Probably not today, but very soon in the near future in our Discord. Make sure you pay attention to the announcements channel, because that's where you'll be able to get the info and figure out how to win the giveaways and stuff. Might come up with something clever, might not, but it's open to everyone. We didn't want to do them live on stream because that way only people watching live can win. So it's a little bit more fair if we allow everyone that supports us to win. So look forward to that. Anyways, Huey, tell me a little bit about our sponsors.
Yeah, we are sponsored by some wonderful sponsors. First off is Z Frontier, who is a sponsor over in China who runs a lot of group buys for keyboards. Like recently they're doing the Alpha X2, which you are finishing up a review on, and I'll be getting to review as well. They've also run like the Time TKL and other GMK and SA group buys. They're pretty cool. They've translated and subtitled some of our content in Chinese, which is surprising and nice and cool of them. So thank you so much to Z Frontier. Next up, we have Input Club as one of they're our first partner ever who signed with us. Really awesome guys. They're working on the Hako switches, which are shipping out in February. The group buy is going on, the pre-order is going on until December 20th. If you want some more opinions about them, you can still get them. They're wonderful switches.
Them now.
I did a review on the Hako Trues and my Fjell, which you should check out on YouTube, and check out their site. They're pretty reasonably priced switches, and they're amazing switches.
Very good value.
Yeah, and then last but certainly not least, Novelkeys. They are running a lot of different products, a lot of different switches. Mike's been working really closely with Kale to develop a lot of really cool switches, including the new Jade and Navy switches, which are coming out soon. So if you like click bar switches, like the Kale Whites or the Navy or the dark pale blues, look out for those Jade switches and Navy switches coming out later this month, I believe, with the thicker click bar. So
yeah, I think he actually told us it's shipping to him very soon.
Yes,
like next week or something. So the Jades and the Navies, they will be very soon if you ordered those. So very cool. Meloda does have one more question before we sign off, though. He says, important question: is Kingnestea aware of my nickname in the Chinese community?
Nope. What is that?
I don't even know. I wouldn't even say it's my nickname in the Chinese community. So basically what happened was the first time that Z Frontier put Chinese subtitles on one of our videos.
Yeah.
On their Chinese site. So everything's in Chinese. And I go to the site, and I'm stupid and I only speak one language. So I right click and I Google Translate the website. And someone it translated someone called me something, and it translated in English to foreign big brother. And I thought that was the funniest thing I've seen ever. So now I try to get everyone to call me foreign big brother.
That's just pretty good with you, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's what they're actually calling me, because it's Google Translate, so it probably messes something up.
Kind of Big Brother is kind of a joke in the Chinese community, because we joke each other every day and night, and we all sometimes we also use the terms of Big Brother. So foreign Big Brother, that's pretty funny. I mean,
I love it. I love it. I mean, even if they are making fun of me, I still love it. Anyways,
you should ask Oblowski, because I invited him to my private QQ group, and people there, they are just joking each other every day, and sometimes Oblowski, he talks to the people in the group, and sometimes it went out pretty funny because it's just between the different languages and yeah, and stuff.
All right. Now it is time to come to a close. Kingnestea, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all this information. I learned a lot.
I learned a lot too.
All right.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can have you on again when it's time, you know. All right. Yeah. So, Gooey,
to everyone watching, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe to our various things below, and to everyone who subscribed today over Twitch, I did see that, and I want to say thank you very much for subscribing to Twitch, because all your subscriptions as well as our sponsors kind of what gives Brian and I the funding to do our cool giveaways, for us to keep making videos and keep writing reviews and keep the show rolling. So thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week, when next week we'll be having Ryan Norbauer, the designer of the Norba Force cases and Norba Touch cases, on for next Thursday. So hope to see everyone there next week again, 6 p.m. Pacific. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for watching.
Orin Big Brother out.